We are headquartered at Agunbelewo here in Osogbo, Osun State capital. What we have to discuss today on our one-on-one television program or production is a very germane one. It touches you as an African, it touches you as a Nigerian, it touches me as an individual too. We are discussing culture. And what is culture? Culture and traditional beliefs have a way of shaping our daily lives as Nigerians, as Africans. If you ask any, you could be a white man, you also have your culture. They have to do with a people's shared values. I have an expert in the studio with me who will tell us more about how simple definitions of culture and traditions could be. He is here in the studio with me to discuss on the broad topic, culture and national development. How potent is our culture and how much naira and kobo can it fetch us? In the studio with me is a retired public servant who was functional in the old Oyo and Osun State. As a matter of fact, he retired as Executive Secretary, Osun Council for Art and Culture here in Osogbo. Prince Tunde oyesiji, that's the name. And that's the man I want to welcome into the studio. Can I offer a handshake? Okay. I'm asking that because of the totem. We'll come to that.
You're safe.
Okay. My name is Adeto Shitu Alamo. My guest is a friend, a brother, and we were together in the public service before each and every one of us went our separate ways and post-retirement. Prince Oyesiji, how are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
It's been quite some time. How are you getting on in retirement?
I'm fine.
Okay. We want to discuss culture. Culture, and I want you to begin with a simple layman's definition of what culture is. That will relate and sync with the man, the young man on the street, not any esoteric definitions that textbooks may provide. What is culture?
Thank you for that question. In fact, that question will give us the basis, the foundation. It's a good starting point. Now, before I won't answer that question directly, there are several peoples all over the world. In Nigeria alone, we have over 300 tribes, different people with their own peculiarities. They have their food, the food that they eat, the clothes they wear, the belief system, call it religion, music and entertainment, the system of governance and administration, and most importantly, language, because language is the storehouse of culture. So now, and it has evolved over time. In Yoruba, the mode of transmission is mouth to mouth. We call it oral transmission. Put succinctly, culture is the totality. Everything that has to do with a people's way of life. I mentioned food, I mentioned mode of dressing, I mentioned religion, and I also mentioned belief system and system of governance and administration, because there must be order in the society. So that is culture, simply put.
Yes, it has already swept me off the second question I was going to ask. You have already answered it in your explanation, your definition. I was going to ask you what constitutes culture, but in your broad explanation, we have
those are the constituents
of culture. Now, culture, a people's culture, is it static? Is it dynamic? Is it evolutional, etc., etc.?
Before I answer that, I mentioned those various constituents. So, in a way, let's take dressing. For instance, you can tell where a people comes from by merely looking at its physical appearance through dressing. Even if a Yoruba man puts on agbada, which some people call babariga, you can tell this is an Hausa man or this is a Yoruba man or an Igbo man.
The babariga.
Babariga rather. Thank you. So culture, in essence, is a mark of identity. You can be able to identify a person. Now to your question. I mentioned it in my introductory remarks. Culture is not static. It's, in fact, I said Yoruba culture has evolved over time, right from the days of our great-great-grandfathers and all of them. So now, let me give you a funny example of evolution of culture. Language. There is a popular word now. It's more of a slogan. We say japa, which means to bolt away or run away. We have imbibed that into our lexicon, Yoruba lexicology.
In fact, it is getting into English lexicology. So, it's becoming gradually an English lexicon.
So now, culture is not static. If culture is static, you and I won't be here. Look at our traditional rulers. You see some of them, the way they are dressed, because they are critical gatekeepers of culture. So one should not be surprised that they dress the way they dress. And coming to food now, you see, Yoruba, we have Iyan, Oka, and so on and so forth, Eba, Ekuru. Some people in some parts of Nigeria, they eat grasshopper. We laugh at them that you are eating tata. Whereas in our own area, we eat esunsun.
Or money.
Or money. So, what I'm trying to bring out is that no culture can be said to be superior to the other. A people's culture is a people's culture. It is their heritage.
You mentioned it earlier, but I want you to expand it. How does culture and our cultural belief systems, how do they show a person's identity? You've mentioned you hit it just using the babariga, but I want you to expatiate. How does it shape our entity?
In Yoruba cultural chemistry, there is the concept of omoluabi. Simply put, an omoluabi is a quite essential individual in society or community, from whom there are certain societal expectations. Good conduct, you see, that is, let me say, is our own commandment. Do not steal. Don't be covetous. There are several other things, because if there must be orderliness in society, it's a kind of a moral code for every member of the community as a way of promoting or enforcing discipline and good behavioral conduct. And that Yoruba, they say, omoluabi ni. The English equivalent, I will call it a gentleman. If an Englishman tells you, oh,
he's a gentleman.
Meet my friend, Mr. Shitu Alam, he's a complete, total gentleman. Immediately, an Englishman hears that. He believes in you, he trusts you, he sees you as someone who is reliable, dependable, who can be trusted. So I just use that to...
Okay. Our culture and belief system, you have made me to understand influences, or they influence our identity. What about our individual perception? a man's perception, a woman's perception, does his or her culture affect it in any way, in any sense?
No matter your personal perception, the societal perception or belief system overrides individuals' perceptions. For instance, maybe when we get to a judicial system, I will give a concise and indisputable example, the dispensation of justice. So now you must wear our cloth, eat our food, and you must pass that on to your children automatically, you know. So you cannot fabricate your own beliefs outside the global broad definition
of the ethnic group.
Yes, sir.
Identification.
Yes, thank you.
Now, food. You spoke also of language. They constitute part. In what way or ways do this language, food, affect our cultural beliefs and our identity?
Thank you. Let me quickly give an example. When I was at the Center for Black Culture and International Understanding, the American partners were visiting, and there was a committee. Of course, I had to be on the committee, being the director there. So, and we were suggesting, what do we give them? I suggested, somebody said, no, these are Americans. They don't eat with their bare hands. They can
eat with cutlery.
They can use cutlery. So it was thrown out. Then there was an eatery in town then. That person threw away my suggestions. They contacted an eatery. They brought jollof rice, fried rice, and all of that, chicken. So when we were holding the meeting, when I found that their time was almost up, I went downstairs. I'd already sent my driver to buy boli and epa for me. So I was eating the boli and epa at the reception area. So, of course, they noticed. And Americans, they are very adventurous. Yeah. They are curious. They say, what's this? What's this? I said, boli and epa. They say, what's boli? Boli. I said, well, plantain, roasted plantain,
and
granite, peanuts. And they had a bite. They loved it. Yeah. Then the chairman, Governor Ilola said, Tunde, and so we had to send for boli and epa for them. Plenty of boli and epa. So now they loved it. So they left. And also, I also recall an incident in 1999 during the elections. I was part of the guide for some monitoring team. There were 2 Canadians, a French lady. There were about 6. So we got to Elisha, and Elisha is noted for boli. So I was eating my boli, and they now saw coconut they bought. In Canada, they don't eat the agma that we eat. They only take the water because the water is it has herbal qualities. Yeah. So they chiseled it, drank the water. When the lady was about to throw it away, I said, look, you want to throw away food? And I collected it. I lighted from the vehicle, bought a knife, and
started.
I drilled it out. And I bought a agbado.
Okay.
Agbado now.
Yeah, corn.
Corn. It's a good combination when you take corn with coconut. They tasted it and they loved it too. So, and they assured me that henceforth, when they get back home, that they will let their people know that there is some edible substance inside. Yeah. So that's for food. But what do you see today? If you ask It's even our undergraduate, even in homes now. I'm not the marketing any product. If I was so best food, they say, Indomie, pasta. Nothing wrong in that. We have our own pastas too. So we stop eating boli, epa, amala, oka, inyo. So, and before you know it, if that trend continues within the next 20, 30 years, some of this food may have gone into extinction, which God forbid.
Language. Its significance.
Language, the Yoruba language is very rich.
No, I'm not talking about Yoruba language. I say language as part of culture.
But with culture. We must relate it to specific.
Yeah, our own.
I said in my explanation of culture that language is the storehouse of culture. Because without language, there will be no culture. Whether you are writing or you can't communicate. So it's the means of communication. So, and it's one of the blows that finished the Yoruba culture, because it took a long time before Yoruba was reduced to writing. So making it impossible for us to document our history, So, and I have to mention this. There was a German physician. He was a polyglot. He spoke about 80 world languages. He said, look, it is only in Yoruba land that when you have a patient as a physician, the patient will describe his ailment vividly, that the doctor will start feeling the way the patient feels. And he used pain. Pain in English can either be mild or severe. He now gave several variants of pain. On kami, on romi, on yumi, on tami, on winnie. Even he said on drumami. So the doctor making it easy for the doctor to prescribe an appropriate remedy. So, but we are now the ones denigrating, ridiculing our language now by preventing people. In fact, we feel ashamed. In fact, I would have preferred that this program is conducted in Yoruba language, because so many things to be said. I prefer to pray in Yoruba. I find it easier to pray in Yoruba than English, because you can be able to tell God what exactly I want Him to do for me. So, but thank God we are moving forward. The Southwest states now, I think they are making Yoruba to be compulsory as a subject. If we don't learn it in schools, we will kill it naturally.
Now, apart from this effort, but it has taken us too long. This is the millennium is 25 years old. That's a generation. If we are just going now to start organizing to make our language useful and accessible to us, the fear is that the way the Americans and Cubans are learning Yoruba language and other Nigerian languages, in a few years from now, 5, 10 years, they will come back here and teach our children.
Absolutely.
How as somebody who is a personification of our culture, how does that trouble or worry you?
Well, it is better late than never. We have to. In Brazil, Yoruba is one of the national languages in Brazil. So, if we are starting now, I said it's better late than never. We have to start from somewhere. So we should commend the efforts, but we have to intensify and accelerate it too. There are very few Yoruba literature. Even as few as they are, people prefer to read books written in English.
Why?
Let me go personal.
Why? Okay, finish with you.
I have 2 grown-up boys. One studied mechanical engineering, is a registered engineer. The other is a chartered accountant. So even before I got into culture, so in Oyo State, I was quarreling with their mother because she would prefer to engage them in Yoruba, in English rather.
Yeah.
I preferred Yoruba. Then we had a lengthy argument. So one Sunday I was coming back to Osogbo, and there was a children's birthday party for them to attend at Bodija. So I dropped them at Bodija before heading to Osun. The following day, Monday, she called me and said, see, your boys, they doubted everybody yesterday. Come and see the way they spoke English. Everybody marveled. I said, but I told you, if you are not good in your mother tongue, which they call vernacular now, you cannot be good in any other language. Look at Wole Soyinka, sir. Soyinka will beat an Englishman to his language.
Yeah.
And if the man starts to speak Yoruba too, it will baffle you. So now, I look at all his works, from Madmen and Specialists, The Man Died, all his works, they are based...
Yeah, the theme.
The theme, based on Yoruba culture. Yeah. So, and that's the thing, we have to start from somewhere. One, by reading books written in Yoruba.
Now, we are on a crossroad. Many of these young boys and girls, 15, let's even say from 10 to 20, they find it difficult to even speak Yoruba. What can you suggest to government to make languages, local languages, compulsory? So long as you live, if you are an Igbo and you live, or Hausa, you live in Yoruba land, you must begin to learn the language. The same thing if a non-native in Hausa land finds himself there, he or she must be made to understand that language.
Government alone cannot do it. Parents, teachers, and government. Well, government will only can make an enactment, which I mentioned that Southwest states, they are now recommending Yoruba language.
Recommending?
Yes.
Not yet there.
I don't have my facts, so I don't want to guess. I don't want to mislead our listening public. So, if it is made compulsory, you are an Igbo or Hausa young man residing in Yoruba land, you must be able to speak the people's language. Ditto for a Yoruba young person living in Igbo land or Hausa land. And you find that most corps members is one of the gains of a National Youth Service Corps scheme.
But it's been gradually eroded and defeated. Many, you find Yoruba boys. Where do you come from? He says, I'm from Oyo State. He's serving in Osun State. He's serving in Ekiti State.
Well,
it's defeating the purpose.
When I was in the secondary school, I had this classmate, Monday in Wagboje. He came from Bende State then. He had A1 in Yoruba, and we native speakers, we were having A2, A3, some C6, So we must be able to communicate. It's a tripartite thing. I'm sure you are aware of this American lady, Professor Karen Baba.
Oh yes, I've had the opportunity of interviewing her before in English and Yoruba.
She can even puffle.
Yes.
And that
was a woman who made me understand between Mogbo Miogba. In the interview, we were talking. Because
you can go something without ba. So that is the simplest approach. But beyond that, we must make it a regular medium of communication. And let me at this point commend the proprietor and management of this organization. Because if you look at their program content, Yoruba cannot be less than 30%, which to me is a good mark.
It's even more than that. It should be in the neighborhood of about 40.
So that's part of the efforts.
Well, this production is always broken into two. We have come to the end of the first part A. We will go for a short break and come back And when we come back, I'm going to ask specifically about this totem that you are holding. We will discuss it when we come. To the viewer at home, this is a convenient spot to break up the show in order to make it up. I have been discussing with a cultural exponent, Prince. He's also a chief in a way. We will explain that when we come. Tunde, oyesiji. Okay. When we come, you pronounce and the sequence. That's the first half of the show. We will be back.
Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Funmilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Funmilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1909, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
You're welcome back to the show. The second part of this presentation for the next 20 minutes or thereabout. We have been discussing culture as it affects the individual and nations. In the studio with me is a man who personifies culture, and he has just told me his full name is Oyetunde Ishola Oyegoke Oyesiji. Two of those names we didn't know before, but then those are part of his name. He is the Are Asoludero of Akola Ijesha. we'll come to that. There is the totem that you accompanies you wherever you go. Tell me about this.
It has a cultural significance.
Mm-hmm.
If you look closely, this totem, this is the head of Odudua,
Yeah.
the progenitor of Yoruba race. Now, I was a core administrative officer in the civil service. I'm sure you are aware of that. So suddenly the tide changed and I found myself in culture. And the first thing I said, council for and culture. I never knew I was coming to join the Iran. And let me give you a background. You see, now, when I finished my secondary education in 1977, we were the last set to write. Then it was concessional examinations. You could obtain forms from 4 or 5 universities. You may be lucky, you may gain admission into 2 or 3, and you may lose out. So when in 1978, we were the first set to write JAMB. I wanted to do law, I wanted to do history, I wanted to do English, but me make it. So if a friend of my father just came and say, Prince, Peter, because I was also Peter, that's my baptismal name. So, till admission, no, money me pass JAMB. He said, Prince, Shebi, Professor Abimbola is your friend. They are looking for people who will study Yoruba now.
Yeah.
You can enter with Yoruba. After the first year, can even if you want to study medicine, you can change. And that's, I got captivated by that if I'll be able to change at the end of the first session. So I didn't feel Yoruba in my form. So Professor Abimbola, God bless him wherever he is, sent a letter of admission to me for me to study Yoruba at University of Ife then. Lo and behold, I was very good.
So you read Yoruba?
I studied Yoruba, English studies, but there's a story to it. That was
very sharp because there are issues that I want to discuss.
So an event happened and I had to be invited by then Dr. Akinwumi Shola, Dr. Oyelanu, who was the top person. Say, look, where I studied, I said Yoruba language and literature. Your admission number, I said 810642. I told them, who do you know? I said, I know all of you. I'm in your tutorial class. Do you have your notebook here? You know, I was very rascally. In fact, there used to be an organization at Ife, Cobra News Agency. I was the editor. The fear of Cobra was the beginning of wisdom for students and even the staff generally. So it now happened that I had here in 2 critical Yoruba courses. Dr. Akinwumi Shola said, look, you want to go to law. We are not releasing you because law won't release its own good student. You are one of our best, so we are not releasing you. You will study Yoruba. I said, well, if it's the will of God. So, and don't forget, I didn't want to study Yoruba. So I now resolved to combine English studies with it. So that was the story.
Okay.
I never knew God was preparing me for the future. Because some of the things I learned as a Yoruba student now became useful for me when I got to Council for Arts and Culture.
Okay. Now, it hasn't satisfied me.
Now I said,
how did you come by this?
So when I got there, then I said, look, how do I make an impact here? There was a day in the House of Assembly during budget session. Governor Yolola was there, and the executive secretary was dressed in suit. He said, see you get typical of culture. On what to? You
can trust Prince Oyinlola.
So he sent. I said, how do I have to reflect what my duty here. Yeah. I started wearing agbada, native dresses, and when I was at Osun State Emergency Management Agency, we were doing a radio TV program, Igbogun Ti Jamba, and people were coming to me. You speak Yoruba well. We learn proverbs from you. So I was already getting used to that. So I started wearing, and I said, let me distinguish myself. And I made this thing. In fact, when I made it, went to Babelebu, God bless, and said, Baba, I want to overstep my bounds. How? I want to be using this thing, and I don't want people to think that I'm Babalawo. So, you are already part of us. Use it.
Okay.
So
he bless you.
He blessed me. So it became part of my dressing. You are very much aware of that. So this is the head of Odudua, the progenitor of your brother. In fact, there was a time Baba Ataoja got angry. He said, and you should kill him. Babasha, see Baba Odudua, I will have sent you back. Although later I gave him one. Therefore, there was a judge there to portray his tool at Oja. So that's why, because I'm coming for a cultural event, and it is part of my identity. Yeah. So I have to come along with this.
How did you come by the chieftaincy title? I
just told you I was general manager of Osun State Emergency Management Agency. So Akola Jesa, it happened that was ravaged by a storm, heavy storm, damaging several houses, farmlands, and all of that. So part of my responsibility was to distribute relief materials, to give succor to victims of emergency situations. So gave them roofing sheets, blankets, indomie, buckets, and so many things. So Kabiyesi offered me money as an inducement. I rejected it. Oba Adekunle Adeyemi. So, as a matter of fact, the younger sister was my colleague in the service. She's also now retired, Mrs. Toyin Ashaolu. So I rejected the offer. So when I got to culture and they were to do Akola Ijesha Day, I led the cultural troupe there. The moment Kabiyesi sat and said, I'm now here. I said, you are the head of the place. He just whispered it to one of the Oloris ears. He said, he stopped the proceeding. He said, I know you are a prince from Mudakeke, but I will make you a chief here today. Today is payback time. So he now conferred me with the title of Aria Soludero, someone who gave succor to the community.
Okay.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. Well, that's because of your past. The good deeds you did when you were in a general manager there. How can we develop our people's culture, since it is a way of life? And how can we hone our cultural traditional system into an economic hub?
Thank you. That's also a good one. Now, as I said, through packaging, there is an Ibadan woman in central London who sells amala and she makes a lot of money, millions of pounds every year, selling Yoruba food. You get to US too, there are African stores where you can go, you buy Yoruba, gari, even yam, all of that. So, but government needs to also be involved by maybe establishing or re-establishing commodity boards and develop our edible products into export items. That is one. Encourage local production and through wearing our clothes too. I'm happy at the development. especially ladies now, you see what they make out of ofi, which people call ashoke ofi. Different exotic styles now. So they are not ashamed to wear it now. So if we do that, it will create jobs, boost local economy, and all of that. So these are some of the ways in which we can make money out of culture.
The time is not on our side, but this question I will have to ask. You were a renowned administrator. In the year 2012, many of your colleagues thought you were supposed to have been appointed head of service, but it didn't come. I'm asking you this question. Did you step on bad toes, or were not sufficiently apolitical?
You are touching my sore point.
Be bold and tell me one.
Now, for the first time in the history of the civil service in the West, we sat for an examination. I knew I satisfied my conscience, but because some of the people who conducted it were our bosses. You talk of Baba Biono, Olanu Shabiono, Adeyeye Olatoye, Adigun, and all of them, Olaji Ababa, and they all commended our effort. So, but at the end of the day, just as you said, people presumed we were going to be appointed permanent secretary or even head of service, but God said no. Because if it is not of God, then it will be worthless. So on that day, if you remember, at the inauguration, I was not yet in culture. I said Yoruba prayers. But as God will have it, I didn't become head of service, permanent secretary, talk less head of service. It is only God who, when he enthrones, nobody can dethrone. So I took the whole thing with spiritual equanimity. So I didn't feel hurt. But coming to if I stepped on toes, I would not know. But I remember an incident when I was at the Center for Black Culture and International Understanding. I was doing a master's program at UI. So I got to Shekono and my boss in the office for me. When you got on board, so I had to go back to the office. And the governor was a no-nonsense person. And there was a raging controversy over the ownership of the center. Governor Yilola brought it to Osun through UNESCO. So I told the governor boldly that the state government did not own the establishment. He said, are you telling me my property does not belong to me? And I told him, I said, look, there are MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, and an MOU is a legal instrument. So executed between the federal government and Osun state government and UNESCO. So long story short, people thought that probably might have been responsible for my...
You were a little bit too forward.
Yes, that I was too forward.
But were you forward, or you were trying to put records straight?
As a civil servant, we are to be loyal to the system.
Not the people.
Not the people.
Persons.
You are also expected to be loyal to the person of the governor and his government by extension. And that was exactly what I did. If that was the reason I was not appointed, I have no regrets. I am happy, I am contented.
Well, eventually you became an executive secretary.
Yes.
One step before a permanent secretary.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Tell me in 1 or 2 minutes, the public service in Nigeria today, how would you assess it? What are the key problems?
One, lack of motivation, lack of commitment. You see, as a civil servant, you cannot determine which party wins an election or comes to power. But the moment a government has been legitimately elected or has legitimized its own installation as in a coup, you have to be totally committed, show loyalty. But the rate of loyalty has waned. In the civil service, wealth has always been a burden. Everybody now wants to be rich, to be affluent. And now civil servants are to be seen and not heard. We now compete with politicians. Yeah. So civil servants now brazenly they want to be seen and to be heard too. So it's an unfortunate development. So it's the bane of the civil service today.
What can we do to get back to the good old days?
Well, if we have to go back to the good old days, there should be a reorientation regarding the present crop of civil servants through the office of the head of service. And the head of service must be bold, courageous, astute. So, sir, there was a governor in Oyo State, Governor Adisa. He was a no-nonsense person. Yeah. So he approved that the fund for a particular federal government project, rural development, the director was his friend. The director said, the civil servant, they are disturbing me. They won't release fund. I was in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. So I now examined the approval, and I now advise that the governor should be contacted to approve his earlier approval. The governor got angered. He sent for me. So I got there. The ADC said, young man, I don't like the way you are talking. No, if you talk like that, when you get, Oga can slap you. I said, he won't slap you. I said, you are the man from, you are telling me I cannot give order. No, I'm a military man. I said, excuse me, no. Man, said, that man wants to send you to. She said, AGC, say you are stupid. And after I said, I'm sorry, sir. If you cannot convince me why the man will send me to jail, you will sleep in Agodi today. I said, yes, sir. I said, your approval. The man wants to mismanage the fund. And he said it's a below the line account. And below the line account is money from the federal government. I said, whether it is below the line or above the line, the accountant general is the custodian of all public funds, including the fund for rural development. And I said, ADC. Meanwhile, my commissioner and peers, they were already G3. Say, you are no longer in the university where you do student unionism. You think you can just write anything. Then he spoke quietly to the ADCs here. The man came out, brought an envelope. Adisa gave me 2,000 naira. He said to correct my courage and sincerity. By the time I got back to the office, and you know, civil service, the secretary of the governor had already phoned the secretary of commissioner and peers. So, what I'm trying to say is, civil servant must be bold and courageous. Of course, don't contest anything, especially money with politicians, and all will be well with you.
Thank you very much. It's been interesting listening to some of your past stories, experiences.
It's my pleasure to be with you too.
Yeah. The viewer at home, I have been in a very homely chat with a prince who is also a chief, and he has explained why. Prince Tunde Ishola Oyegoke Oyesiji, the one many of us call Tunde Oyesiji. He is also the Are Asoludero of Akola Jesha. We have been discussing culture, and he personifies it in this state. I'd like to thank you for being there watching us. Let me put a handshake to the prince again. Hope when I touch this totem, nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
Okay, God
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Viewers at home, this is our story. This is our presentation. Until we meet next week, I am your host, Adetoye Shitwalamo, thanking you for being there, watching us, and of course, listening in to us. See you next week.